Gray Matters: An Examination of Why Biracial Students Are Prone to More School Troubles by Ashley Russo. In this presentation, I will be explaining how biracial students are faced with more troubles than those who are from a single-raced family. Seems that when one is mixed race with white and black, the white side often gets ignored and are automatically described as black. Biracial people's race is often classified by how they look and not by their genetic makeup. For example, should the individual have slightly darker skin, the odds of them being classified as black are higher than them being classified as white, and vice versa. This is exactly what is going on in schools and can start from elementary school and last all the way through college. Biracial students are being categorized by others into racial and/or social groups by their physical appearance, but may not identify with those categories or social groups as others see them. These students are finding it harder to fit into certain social groups and be accepted, causing biracial students to have problems in and out of the school setting. To help address this issue faced by biracial students, the creation of a nationwide after-school program to get students involved and gain more knowledge about biracial or multiracial individuals should be added to school programs. The program should address the issues dealt with by biracial students, as well as encourage students of alternate races to participate and expand their understanding of biracial students. So let's look at the problem. According to Rockmore and Brunsma, biracial students interact with others in a different way than those of a single race. Biracial students are being placed into categories or social groups they may not identify with, making it harder for them to interact with others. Starting in elementary school, it can be carried on with the student all the way to college because how someone identifies him or herself and is identified by others can impact a biracial student's college experience and groups to which the student will interact with. A biracial student feels like maybe they have to choose between being white or black, and that will show who they choose to hang out with. So for instance, if they identify as black, odds are they'll hang out with more of a black populated social group, and vice versa. Biracial students are finding it hard to fit in certain social groups and being accepted, causing them to have difficulties not only in school, but out of school in their personal lives. Some of these students who are both black and white still feel a level of segregation and do not fully understand why. It is often said that those who are biracial kind of have the best of both worlds. I'm black and white, I should be able to fit in with everyone, but what we're seeing is they're feeling like they have to choose to identify with either how someone else identifies them or them identifying as single-raced by choosing either black or white. Williams explains how even the teachers aren't educated enough about biracial students, and in turn students are ignored at best and suffer from it at worst. Biracial individuals and teachings on the topic are now acknowledged in education or in school curricula. In our schools, biracial students are feeling left out of social groups, which can lead to social and emotional problems. The American Public Health Association, or APHA, compared the levels of risk between those of one race background and those of multiracial background. Findings suggest that those who are both Black or African American and white or European can in fact be at higher risk for health and behavior issues. Biracial students tend to self-segregate themselves by how they look and in order to make themselves feel more comfortable. The students will navigate towards those who look similar to them, and these actions can cause a lot of social and emotional issues for students. As mentioned before, the darker that the person looks might influence who they hang out with. Should they look more African American, then they might navigate more towards the African American just so they feel a level of acceptance and that they're with people who share the same thing. They have that thing in common. They have their race in common. This can force students to try to choose who they feel they need to identify with rather than being free to identify with both. They feel the need to choose what race they are going to identify as rather than identifying as biracial. Biracial students who choose to be identified as black or white rather than biracial tend to choose the race they feel has a lesser negative connotation. Issues that biracial students face can lead to depression, thoughts of suicide, drug use, low grade point averages, and dropping out of school. One of the reasons why this is a problem is because there is a lack of material covering children and students growing up in a biracial family with one black parent and one white parent and their school experiences. Another reason is the lack of communication in schools. There are not enough activities or school counselors for these students to talk to. Most schools seem to function on an out-of-sight, out-of-mind basis, which is a problem. In helping to address these problems that biracial students face, we can cut down the number of those who are contemplating suicide or are struggling in school or simply feel they have nowhere to fit in. These issues can also lead to substance abuse and a higher dropout rate that can also be cut down if we focus on the problem. According to Harris, school counselors are available, but it is not common for them to counsel students other than academically. Some schools do offer their teachers to talk with students casually after class, but that is only if the teacher has time, which can be rare. With biracial students being the fastest developing racial group, it is very important that counselors and psychologists remain developing the understanding of multiracial students' needs. A study done by Harris in 2002 used 900 school counselors ranging from elementary to high school participated in a study in which they were asked if they felt they had the tools necessary to counsel biracial students. 82% of those 900 participating reported having personal counseling experience with biracial students. Of that 82% who said they counseled biracial students, 45% claimed they needed additional information and preparation on their knowledge to help biracial students. This is interesting as more than half of the counselors felt they didn't have enough information to counsel their students, and yet they still were. The fact that research shows biracial students struggle more in school setting than those who are of a single race means that this is a problem that needs a solution. To help integrate students, the creation of a national after-school program should be put forth to raise awareness and educate those about how biracial students are feeling a lack of belonging. There should be counselors and psychologists available at these programs to help educate and/or answer any questions the students might have. Studies have been done to show the importance of school psychologists and how the presence of psychologists increases students' morale and willingness to participate in school activities when school psychologists are available. According to Lillenstein, just the students knowing that there is a psychologist on campus, they are more likely to share their feelings and their problems openly when they know there's a school psychologist. The morale is higher. The comfort of them knowing that they can talk to somebody boosts morality within themselves just alone in that aspect. The after-school program should consist of trust exercises that will help build the relationships between students. There may also be sessions in which students are able to share any experiences, good or bad, which they have had because of their or another's identification of being biracial. Teachers should also be asked to join in discussions and share their stories as well. Some of the things that could be used to express how they feel could be poetry readings, art, interpretive dance, singing, and sculpting, etc. According to Riggs and Greenberg, students who are at risk for poor development outcomes may get the most benefits out of after-school programs. By creating an after-school program focused on the education of biracial families, it can teach students about biracial culture. This is what these programs can help do: educate the students in a fun and interactive way that make them feel comfortable and benefit from what the program can offer. The problems biracial students are having in school cannot be ignored. As previously mentioned, biracial students are being categorized into racial or social groups they may not identify with. These students are finding it hard to fit into certain social groups and be accepted, causing biracial students to have problems in and out of the school setting. Again, these problems can include depression, thoughts of suicide, drug use, low grade point averages, health and behavioral issues, and dropping out of school. To help avoid these issues, a nationwide after-school program should be created to integrate the students and educators. The program will have positive aspects as students who are at risk for poor developmental outcomes may get the most benefits out of after-school program. Activities along with school psychologists will be available for the students to participate in. The main goal is to make sure the students are healthy and happy as they continue their education and lives, and an after-school program can help achieve this.